Hey everybody, welcome to Paulette and Becs Wine Labs, episode 8, I
No,
think.
we're actually episode 7.
7. I lied. I'm
7.
sorry. Getting ahead of ourselves. So welcome, welcome, welcome. It has been a while since we have popped on together. We just have not been able to sort of direct it towards them. But before I kind of dive into that, Paulette and I, the reason that we started these wine lives was because we were both terrified to jump on camera. We didn't want to be doing go lives. And we just felt we had all of this information and knowledge to share with everybody. And we kept watching other people's lives and we just thought, wow, like that's amazing. Like everybody is bringing such great value and knowledge and little tips and tidbits of just whatever it is, mom tips, parenting tips. And we loved it. And we're like, why can't we do that as well? And so we sort of joined forces and decided, what the hell? Like let's start doing this together. And we've been having so much fun and we love the interaction. We bring lots of inspiring people on, or people that are doing really cool things. We've had quite a few guests already, and then we're gonna just pop on just on our own, just the two of us every once in a while as well, and just kind of share some value. And I have a really cool story to share of an experience that I had that we're gonna kind of discuss.
But
So
before we do that, my friend, I feel
yeah.
like we should all raise glass.
Oh my gosh, the most important, well, second most important thing that we're doing, drinking wine.
The wine. So whoever tonight is, tonight I have a beautiful rosé here. It's a California blend, if you will. It is a California roots. I was gifted this beautiful wine from my friends Mark and Rochelle. If you're listening, shout out to ya.
I'm having some delicious mom juice in the red.
Love it, love it. Cheers.
It is actually it is called. This is a funny story. We live in a very small town. We have a drive-through liquor store, and I was on my way home from my in-laws for dinner, and I went through the liquor store drive-through, and I asked for a couple of my normal bottles of whatever it is that I like, and I asked for a Cab Sav, and she said she didn't have them, and I said, well, what's a good wine? And she drops, I'm not sure, I'm not an alcoholic, I don't drink. And I said, pardon? I was like, how about you just grab me a bottle of Cab Sav, please? As
Well,
I'm coming through. It's like, I mean, I don't come here often, like hardly ever. Anyways, she got me a bottle called Wine O'Clock.
love it.
So I actually haven't tasted it yet, but I'm sure it'll be delish because it's wine. What the heck,
And
right?
you feel that.
But anyways, that's my lovely story. So cheers to those of you drinking wine or whatever it is you may be joining us with. So cheers,
Yeah.
my friends.
If you're drinking a red, give us a love. If you're drinking a rosé or a white, like I love, give us maybe a like
Or a wow.
or a wow. Actually, I like the wow better. Yeah, go for sure.
We're improving tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I'm going to dive right into my story. So, I have been doing a lot of personal development in this last year. Kent and I, that's my fiance, and a lot of what we have learned about who we are, where we learn things, what we did, comes from our childhood before the age of 8 years old. And so a lot of the things that we do, that our parents do, that our friends do, somebody important like a teacher, someone does, that influences how we think of ourselves. So we, a lot of times, think of, this is my example, on a play ride, that kid that cannot sit still or is talking, getting up and down, bumping things, chewing loudly, whatever it is, and we get really impatient and frustrated with these children. And it can be a very hard thing where these kids think that they're annoying, or they're that kid that just everybody drives everybody kind of crazy, right? And it just might be the situation that they're put in where they're not striving in their environment, right? So on my plane ride home from Toronto this last week, it was actually kind of funny. I was in my room the night before checking in for my flight, and I was considering upgrading to the plus seats because it's super cheap when you do it just beforehand. And something to me called out. I was looking at all the seating plan, and it was like this like beaming thing on my phone when I was clicking for the seat, and it said you need to be, I can't remember if it was row 26 or 27 because they were right beside each other, on that window seat. Anyways, So I picked that seat. I did an upgrade, and I got to my seat, and there was a older gentleman, probably similar age to my father, and then a little boy. He was 9 years old, sitting in the middle seat. I thought they were traveling together. I offered him my window seat. I said, "Hey, buddy, you want that window seat? Like, my plan was to work. I just learned so much at this incredible conference. My plan was to work." And the little guy got super excited. Turns out he wasn't with this gentleman sitting there. So I ended up in the middle seat. Totally okay. Like, whatever, it was fine. This little boy, his grandma was sitting behind me, which I learned partway through the flight. And this little guy could not sit still. He was constantly fidgeting, buckling, unbuckling his seatbelt, buckling, unbuckling his seatbelt. He was playing with his little SD thing, and he was bumping his table up and down. He kept asking his Nana for veggie sticks, and he was chomping and saying that he's a beaver, and he was blowing in and out of these veggie sticks like crazy, and just, like those things that most of the time drive people absolutely insane, right? Like, at one point I was attempted to watch a movie because I just couldn't concentrate on my reading or whatever, and I kept getting asked, it was about 5 minutes into my movie, how much further are we? And we'd only been on the airplane for about 30 minutes, and he just kept asking, how far are we? So I'd bring up the little thing on my phone that shows the little airplane on the app for WestJet, like whereabouts we are. We actually flew through the States. He thought it was super cool, but he'd ask every 20 minutes. I eventually just shut my movie off. And I ended up kind of hanging out with this kid. And when kids just ask you why like 1,000 times, this is what this little guy was doing. And it really took some time and some effort for me watching this movie, talking to him. I cannot, loud chewers, like, ah, for me, like, holy cow. And that's what was happening. And he was saying he was a beaver. And I did a lot of deep breathing on this flight. But this kid was so cool. So the point of what I want to say in this story is I gave this little guy my patience. And I would sit with him. I helped him get food and snacks, and it just kind of seemed natural. It wasn't, and I'm not telling the story as like a, wow, you did something amazing. I'm just doing it because we need to have patience for these kids. Because he looked at me at one point when he was doing this, just because I glanced down at him, and he looks and he goes, "I'm really sorry I'm being so annoying." Right? And I was just like, it broke my heart. I was like, "Hey, buddy, you are not annoying. Like, it is okay. It is so hard to sit in a seat for 4 hours and have to be buckled in, and you don't have movies, and you don't have anything to distract you, right?" And so eventually I gave him my phone, and I didn't get any work done. Let's just keep this in mind. I had all these plans to do everything. I didn't get any work done. I didn't get any of the things that I had planned to do done. But he ended up watching 20 minutes of about 4 or 5 different videos, probably. I'm not really sure how many, because he couldn't sit watching one video. The window was up and down. But anyways, at the end of my flight, so it was about 4 and a bit hours on this plane ride with this little guy. And the guy next to me was amazing. He actually helped the little guy to the bathroom. He was just like a gem himself. And so we sort of just took this little guy under our wing, and he ended up having an amazing flight that I think could have turned into something absolutely horrific and frustrating for him, because he didn't maybe have someone that was embracing his little kind of quirks that he had, right? And so when I got up to leave the flight, everyone was turning around and looking at me saying, "Wow, like, good job. I can't believe you did that." And I'm like, this little guy is right next to me. It just broke my heart inside. Like, I just wanted to scoop this little guy up, take him home, embrace him, because he was this bundle of like wild energy that just needed to be like released, right? And it wasn't about telling him to be quiet and to stop doing what he was doing, because he was 9, right? And just what was he telling himself about himself if he already assumed that he was being annoying? What was he telling himself and making the assumptions of himself just based on our interactions with him, of like, he's a kid, right? So I just wanted to kind of just create sort of a discussion. If you guys are watching and you've ever had these interactions or something like this, right? Like, let's just kind of talk, because these kids can really make assumptions like, I'm not going to speak anymore because I'm annoying, or I'm not going to answer the questions because I might be wrong, or I'm always wrong. They're going to start telling themselves these things, and that becomes their truth and their reality of who they are. So it's really, I don't know. It really broke my heart. I came home, had a long discussion with Kent because I just love this little guy, but I wouldn't a year ago have had the patience to deal with him. Does that make sense? Like it took a lot of personal strength
And
to recognize that.
didn't you say that his grandma was also apologizing the whole flight?
Yes, sorry. Yes, his grandma kept saying, "I'm really sorry," or I'd hear her kind of say something. She didn't really acknowledge him too much. Now it's kind of a hard thing to say. Like she was he lived with his grandparents, is what I learned, and maybe he was just this energetic, and she could have been exhausted. She's a grandma. Like, I don't want to make excuses for her, but she kept apologizing to me. That was the first thing she said when I stood up and I turned around at the end of the flight. She's like, "I'm so sorry, like, thank you. I couldn't figure out how to book my seats together," and all these excuses. I said, "You know what, like, I enjoyed myself. Like, it was totally okay."
Hmm.
So I
You know
just
what? Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Um, it also made me think of like at home with our own kids, right? Like
Yes.
oftentimes they will set us off. Like you said, they'll repeat something. Like my kids are terrible for like singing the same damn lyrics to a song over and over and over again, and it drives me bonkers.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting cranky, and I'm like, and it sets your mood for the day, right?
Totally. Totally.
That isn't cool because then all of a sudden you're in a bad mood, and anything that they do will affect
Yeah.
how you feel and how you talk to them. And then pretty soon you're super impatient and it's just a slippery slope, right? Like everybody's having a bad day. And maybe it's just them trying to, they're happy. They just want to like express themselves. And
Yeah.
we're kind of telling them to fit in this tiny little box where
Mhm.
that's not fair on our part sometimes, right? But
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not fair to them because they're just kids, and half the time they really just want to learn. Like,
mhm,
this little guy kept asking me, he's like, "Well, why does the plane do this? Well, how high are we? Why do we have to be this high? Why is there frost in the window? Why is the plane thingy moving on the wing? Like, why does it do that?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, I do not have the answers to these questions," but I would tell him that. Like, it was like bing, bang, boom, like 3 hours of questions. And he just wanted to learn. He was genuinely intrigued with all of these things. And if I told him to be quiet and sit back and stop asking so many questions, is that what he's going to do for the rest of his life? Stop asking questions?
yeah,
It's just about being aware of these, like, the way that we say these things to the children, or like maybe just, "Hey, hold on, buddy, like, give me a couple minutes. I just need to think about it," or something, right? And then maybe he can sit back, and it's just about how we tell them to kind of maybe back off a
yeah,
bit.
totally. I
Right?
100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got I have a really good girlfriend who often tells me, she reminds me because I get really frustrated sometimes because our kids, we always think they should have common sense, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm always like, you know better. Like why are you doing that? You know better, and I get angry.
Mhm.
But she always tells me that you have to remember that kids don't have their brains are not developed until a certain age. I think she said something like 10 or something like that. They
Yeah.
don't actually have common sense yet. And that blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, it made me feel better to know that it's not just them not listening to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, but then again,
Totally.
you get impatient with them because you have to tell them 17 times to do the same thing or not do something. And then you're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa."
Exactly. Exactly. Like, just and we just need to I think we need to also be just super excited when they ask like questions. Like, what was it? I don't remember the statistics I just heard last weekend of kids will ask the question why, like, I don't even know how many hundreds of times in a day. Like, maybe it's thousands, I don't know, but they're gonna ask you why like a gazillion times, and it's gonna feel like your head's gonna blow off because it's just like, why are you asking me why so many times?
Yeah, it's exhausting.
But
But at the same time, they're learning, right? Like we
exactly. Exactly. Like, I have no idea how to explain like why a plane thing is moving, or like how do you explain why it's colder above, like closer to the sun, than it is closer to the ground? That's what he asked me. I was like, oh, I don't know. I was like,
Hang on, let me Google that.
I literally, I was like, I wish I bought internet to Google this one.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay. So I have some tips.
yeah.
How to stay calm when you're losing it. Okay. So, first tip: stop, drop, and breathe. Stop what you're doing, drop everything, and just take a deep breath. Because
Mm-hmm.
I know sometimes I need that. And then another idea is to give yourself a mantra. So, like, you could tell yourself, "This is gonna be okay," before you freak out and like flip your lid. Because I am one of those people who get like super impatient. After you ask me the same question 17 times, I get a little bit angry.
A little bit. Me too. I do too. I can feel that it's like starts boiling.
Yeah.
Coming
So,
up. The verbal diarrhea is about to release.
right? So, one of the things that you could say to yourself is he's acting like a child or she's acting like a child because they are a child. Just remember that. And I know in the heat of the moment a lot of times you don't have the time to do that, but really when you if you are being mindful of what's happening, then you if you tell yourself that, then you'll kind of like ground yourself a little bit and realize, okay, I'm totally overreacting. Stop, drop, and breathe.
Absolutely. And I think it's really about being extremely present in the moment. Like
Yes.
really being present instead of thinking, oh, I should have done this 2 hours ago and I've got this, and this to do today still. And this kid is just asking you why, and you're not being present in the present moment. I think too, because when you're present, you recognize that even though this kid might be 8 or 9 years old, they're still kids.
Yeah.
Even though they might seem older and bigger and whatever, right? So
That's that is hard. Like a
very
lot of times that is hard. That is a super huge practice on your patience, but I totally invite everybody to try it. Like just honestly, take a
mhm.
minute and breathe before you have like a freak out over nothing.
Yeah.
Just think about where it's coming from.
Yeah, exactly. And why? Why are we getting frustrated? Why does this kid asking these questions frustrated us? Is it because we were taught that that's annoying?
Yeah,
Right? Like maybe it annoys us because we were told to shut it when we were younger. Like who knows, right? Like it could be just the repercussions and we might be getting frustrated because it sucks being told to be quiet.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, and like you said though, when they've asked you the same question about 1,000 times over and over again, and you keep giving them answers, finally you're out of answers, and you're like, all right, that's enough. Like, come on.
And you pour your glass of wine and have yourself a fancy little drink.
Yes. You just kind of turn around and you walk away and you say, I'll be back in a minute with an answer for you
Yeah.
there, you know?
Mommy needs a little break right now.
I make that sound way easier than it is.
Cheers to that, my friend.
And there's going to be those times that we blow up and we have those, like, my son's only 2, and man, does he test me. I wish I had my
Oh,
glasses here to show you
yeah.
guys what he did.
I was just gonna say you should tell your glasses story.
Oh my goodness. Like, but see, and I lost it. I'm not gonna lie, I lost my mind yesterday a little bit. And we had smoothies dumped on the carpet. We had what else did we have? There was I don't even remember half of it. But anyways, I went to switch the laundry downstairs. My kid was at the top of the stairs. I ran down, 30 seconds, had it done, came back upstairs. I don't know how he got into the office, onto the desk, grabbed my glasses, ran back to and was walking back to me in 30 seconds with my glasses, my seeing glasses, broken half, handle off, lens out, and the metal frame completely bent. And he was holding it with a big smile on his face. And he goes, Mummy, I wreck it. I wreck it, Mummy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that poor little boy. I got so mad.
But
But But what I did do is I took a deep breath without responding, turned around, I screamed. I turned around and I screamed. And then I turned back around and I said, "You need to walk to your room right now for a couple of minutes." And he just turned around and he walked into his room. He's never listened so well in his life.
I was so proud of you because I would have lost my shit. Like, I would have lost my mind. So, when you told me the story, I was very proud of you. And you got over it quickly. Because here's another problem that I find that people have is that they hang on. Like, I'm one of those people that hang on. So, like, if our day starts off on the wrong foot, and like your day yesterday, if that would have been me, like, I would have just been snappy to
Yeah,
them for the rest of the day, which is terrible because then it just like nobody wins, right?
exactly.
So
That's what it's about. Like I actually, what turned it around was when I messaged Paulette and I sent her a picture of what happened because she'd already heard about me having a crappy day yesterday. And she said, "Well, buddy, like there's gonna be a super hot, sexy new pair of glasses in the store waiting for you." And I went, "Yeah, you're totally right. There will be." So it's just about kind of re-looking at the situation. Like, yeah, no, I did not plan on having to buy new glasses right now, but I can't rewind and hold on to that and be mad
yeah,
about it.
it's not going to serve anybody, right?
Exactly. It's not going to serve anybody, and it's just going to make me hold a grudge against the cutest little 2-year-old, and I don't want that.
Because he's pretty cute. I don't.
He's
Yeah.
adorable. He's a feisty little gingery, crazy little man. Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to
Cheers to Kate.
that. Oh.
Okay, I'm just gonna check who's on with us right now. I think we have 4 people watching. Hey, Leanne's on. Hey, Leanne. We got Lisa and Nicole and Carrie. Thanks for jumping on, guys.
Awesome.
I'm just wondering if any of you guys that are watching right now, do you guys have any experiences with being
Yes.
impatient
Share.
or any kind of story where you caught yourself in a moment and realized, like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
just need to take a minute and walk away before this gets ugly?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've all had those, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And I mean, it is so easy for us to talk about. Like yesterday, I felt guilty for screaming. Like I got so mad because I was just so done. I was so done by that point. And sometimes it's hard. It's really hard to not lose it, right? Or think of like maybe somebody's got a situation that they can think of where they did lose it, and it's like, man, like I don't know, how do you come back from those things, right? Like it's such a challenge, and not holding on, even if you do lose it, you can't hold on to it because it's just causing so many negative feelings inside that really you just gotta focus on bringing back the positives and reinforcing to your kids whatever was around that situation, whatever, however you reacted, just reinforcing like how what you think that they might be making an assumption of about themselves in that situation.
Right. Because,
Yeah,
like you said, we mold their little minds from a very young age, right? And they're going to remember that.
exactly, exactly. Up until 8 years old is what I was. They're influenced. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So
Leanne says, cheers to the fiery gingers.
yeah.
Cheers to that, Leanne. She's a ginger
We
herself.
might have tempers. It happens. These things
I'm
do
over
happen.
fiery. I'm just saying. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
what did Leanne just say? If you lose it, they remember. It's so true. They do. They remember it.
I
And
always,
even if it's just walking into the other room, or I mean, it happens. Like you can't prevent it from happening every time because we're human. We're not perfect. But even just like I said, just being present in the moment. Kent just popped on. Hi, honey. He
hi,
says
honey.
more is caught than taught, and it's so true, right? Like we can attempt to teach so many things, but our kids are more aware of what's happening when we're not in the teaching moment, and they're
Yeah.
picking up on our body language, on the way that we speak, on how we speak, and the way we interact with each and every other person, and how we interact with them when we don't even recognize that we're in a teaching moment.
Yeah. when I was a kid, my parents were always so I have a sister, and it was just the two of us, and my we were always yeah whatever your kids you sometimes you fight you whatever we argue, and they were always on our butts about how you guys need to get along because it's just the two of you. And then the minute that we would like be having fun and giggling and we'd be like making all kinds of noise in the basement or whatever, and I remember my dad would come to the top of the stairs and be like, "You guys be quiet down there." And I remember that. Like, I just think in my head, I'm like, what do you want from us? you
I'm doing
want
exactly what you told me to do.
you want us to get along, but you're telling us to shut up. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just something that I remember from my childhood, and I was like, dudes,
Yeah.
seriously.
Right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy how like just I don't have an example off the top of my head, but I'm sure I could come up with a bunch of things.
It's because we're tired today. It's
Yeah, I
been
know.
a long day.
It is.
Hey, I know.
So, if nobody has any examples, um, Paulette and I wanted to just drop it out there that we are going to be creating our own page for these wine lives. So this is sort of like the announcement. We still have to create the page, but we are planning until December because that's how long I have my schedule for at work. Is we are going to do a wine live a week from our page. We are going to have guests. We are going to be dropping some awesome content in that page as well. Some little parenting tips, value tips, struggles, because like that's just life. We all struggle with things. And just kind of keep it real. We're going to drink some wine with you all. And so you guys are going to just have to keep your eyes peeled for the announcement where we drop that, and we're going to start inviting people to it, and we're going to get that rolling.
Yeah, so you could follow us in all different kinds of places now. You can follow us each on our own pages.
Yep, on our business pages, on our personal pages.
Yep.
So.
And yeah, if anybody is interested in the whole business aspect of it, you want to learn what Bex and I have come into in the last year and what we're doing, feel free to reach out to either of us.
Yeah.
We'll be tagging our business pages, I think, in our group as well.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, we're super pumped about it because it's going to be just another great platform to, you know, hang out, drink some wine.
And then that way, on the weekly wine lives, if one of us ends up having to do something with the kids, or for some reason something last minute pops up because we are committed to these, if something does pop up, one of us will be jumping on.
Yeah.
Right, and then there's not going to be any confusion with anything. So you'll get both of us once a week if you want. So.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
It's just a really good excuse to have some wine with you because we don't live in the same town. How cool is the internet, you guys?
Right?
Let's be honest, because Paulette and I didn't know each other a year ago, and now we are just like the best of friends, and we talk probably every day.
Every day.
Every day. And that's what's so cool about what we get to do. It's wonderful. So.
And really, think about what you were doing when you were like, I always think like, what was I doing on a Friday night when I was a kid? I was like dialing my rotary phone, calling people.
I was watching.
You can only talk to one person at a time.
I was watching TGIF and just MSN chatting or something.
Oh, MSN. That was way after my time, sister.
Sorry, friend.
You're just a youngin'. Cheers to your young age.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I feel like maybe we should wrap it up.
I think so. We're both kind of exhausted today, and
yeah.
But be kind to your kids. Be kind to yourself.
Word.
And,
that's cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Yes, be kind to your kids. Be kind to yourself, and be in the present moment with your kids, and harness their annoyances that just get you, because there's a reason they're getting you, but they're probably some pretty cool kids with some pretty cool little quirky traits to them that are going to make them strive if you harness them.
100%.
So Yeah.
Okay, guys, have a great night. Thanks for being
Yes.
on with us. And yes, keep your eyes peeled for our new page. We will be dropping that info really soon. So, yeah, have a good night, guys.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers. See you later.
You need to stop the video, my friend.